Hello, Edgy Rock Stars, and welcome back to Miss Shipley's Classroom, where today I'm going to share with you some tips on choosing a read aloud for your classroom. Stay tuned. Hello teachers, and welcome back to Miss Shipley's Classroom. I'm Farah, and each week I strive to bring you tips and strategies for your classroom that are going to make your teacher life a little easier, and today is no exception. But before we get into our content, if this is your first time joining us here, I would love it if you would comment down below. Let me know where you're tuning in from and what grade level you teach. So today I am going to be sharing with you some tips for choosing a read aloud for your classroom. And do you have a favorite read aloud that you already read every single year with your students? Be sure and comment down below with what it is and why you love it so much. So picking a great read aloud for your classroom, can be very, very daunting, especially if you're not quite sure which direction to go. But I'm going to share with you 5 tips that are going to help you choose a great read aloud for your classroom. So that first tip I want to share with you is to give your students choice. Nothing gets your students more excited about you reading a story than if they chose the story themselves. One of the things I love to do is to maybe pick 3 or 4 different books, especially if it's on a particular topic that I'm teaching in my classroom, and I will put them out, I will show them the covers, we'll flip through the books, and I might even give them a little bit of background on the author, and then I'm going to let them choose which story they would like to read. The second tip that I want to share with you is to go with the flow. Choose something that your students are already interested in. For example, if there is a popular children's series, for example, Magic Tree House or Junie B. Jones, any of the popular children's series that are out there that are grade level appropriate for your students, go ahead and choose a book from that grade level. I loved reading the Junie B. Jones series to my first and second graders, and especially those that had not been introduced to that series yet. And I would always have those more advanced readers in first grade who would want to start reading them on their own, and it just got them even more interested. But again, choose something that they're already interested in, that's already popular in their world. The third tip I want to share with you is to keep it realistic. I love reading fantasy books, don't get me wrong, but the ones that seemed to have the biggest impact with my students were the ones that were realistic fiction. For example, there is Junie B. Jones is realistic fiction because of Winn-Dixie. There are so many different titles out there that you can use with your students that are going to allow them to really relate to the characters, especially if the characters look and feel and act like they do. So keeping it realistic is also going to help you choose a read aloud for your students. The fourth tip is to give them something to talk about. Choose a book or a book series that is going to have something juicy, something that is going to wow them, that they're going to be like, whoa, I never knew that, or I never realized that. One of my favorite things to do is to talk about the author of a book and really dig into the author's background and maybe how the author came to choose the characters or develop the storyline. Maybe if it was based off of the author's life, then the students are able to really grasp onto that. And a lot of times when they read books, the author is some, fantasy character out there in La La Land. And when they were really able to relate to the author and really dig in and have that wow moment with a book or something that happens in the book, then it is absolutely going to keep their attention even more. Now, the fifth tip that I want to share with you is to make it relevant. some of the best books that I read, I really took what my students were going through and things that were specific to the group of students I had in my classroom, and I would choose read alouds based on things that were going on in their lives. Now, this is going to be a very, tedious task sometimes whenever you're trying to choose one that is specific and relevant to different grade levels. For example, something you might read to second graders, you won't read to your kindergarten students. But look at your students. Get to know your students. Find out what's going on in their lives. Do you have a group of students who are all, or the majority of them, are coming from single parent homes? Maybe you should choose a book that is, on that topic and about a character who maybe only lives with mom or only lives with dad. Or maybe your students live with grandma or aunts, and you can choose a book that is based on a character and who is also experiencing that in their lives. So make it relevant to what your students are going through at the time. So just to recap, when you are choosing a read aloud for your students, make sure that you give your students a choice. You choose something that goes with the flow, something they're already interested in, that you keep it realistic so that they're able to relate more to it. You give them something to talk about. Give them that wow moment, something they're going to be talking about once you close that book, and something that's going to leave them wanting more when you come back and read the next chapter or the next few pages. And the last tip was to make it relevant. Make sure that it is relevant to what's going on in your students' lives, and you're going to keep their attention even more. Now, do you have a favorite read aloud that you like to read in the classroom? I would love it, again, if you would leave that down below, because truly, the best education we can get from each other is learning from others in our community. And y'all have the best tips out there, and I would love it if you would share it with everybody else so we can learn as well. Do you have a favorite activity you do with a book that you read aloud with your students? Leave that down below as well. Make sure, if you have any questions, that you ask those questions down below. I love to come in and see your questions, and I will definitely be sharing my favorite read alouds down below in the comments as well. Do not forget, if you are interested in having some professional development on your campus, you can visit mrsshipley.com/shakeupyourteaching and get more information about how I could come visit your campus and share the tips and strategies for classroom management and so much more with you and your fellow teachers. Also, don't forget to like or subscribe to Miss Shipley's Classroom, and make sure you turn your notifications on so you get notified anytime I do upload a new video or I go live here at Miss Shipley's Classroom. Also, make sure you go back through the video library and get some other tips and strategies from the other videos that I've done here. Keep being educational rock stars, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.